without further ado, let's get started with today's webinar. So guys, welcome to today's webinar on Teaching in Difficult Times, Stories from Around the World. My name is Evi Fabianti, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. Before we start, let me quickly to over today's agenda. We will begin with brief explanation regarding ATC, a brief introduction of our guest speakers, followed by their presentation on teaching in difficult times, stories from around the world. After that, we will open the floor for questions and discussion. And next, submission of Mentimeter link, absence, and certificate by the ATC co-founder. And last, we will conclude with some closing remarks. Okay, let's just start with the first agenda. I would like to invite you, Ms. Andini, as President of ATC, to explain briefly about our beloved ATC. Ms. Andini, please. Hello, Ms. Andini.
Hello, it's Andini here. I'm so sorry for my phone is quitting for its bad networking, so I'm going to deliver my speech in here. Thank you very much for Miss Epi. Thank you very much for Miss Epi for the opportunity. So I'm going to deliver a brief statement about ITC. So guys, before I state the profile of ITC, I would like to introduce myself first. I'm Andini, I'm the president of ITC Palestine. Here I would like to introduce you to our beloved home and community, which is Indonesian Teaching Community. This community actually was found before COVID-19. Sorry for the noise. This community actually was found before COVID-19. It is built by Mr. Dani as CEO of ITC and friends then. This program was held offline by providing English class for kids in Kediri. Unfortunately, there was quarantine that obligated all of us to have activities from home. So by this condition, ITC was innovatively changed its method to teach online class for kids. So our focus was teaching online class for kids. Who knows, but since then, ITC even grow bigger until now because we can invite students from all around Indonesia to study English. Besides that, our motto, which is educate to empower, also works well, that ITC could provide a place and experience for the Indonesian citizen to have a positive impact to education, which is teaching English for kids from anywhere. Besides teaching, ITC also provides the volunteer a guideline to teach, classrooms to introduce them, how to construct lesson plan, and also weekly micro-teaching to evaluate and improve their teaching skill. By having all of this activity, ITC has been successfully not only educate people about English, but also empowering people to teach even they do not have educational background. For now, for ITC growth, we also have adult class now. The student consists of teachers and people aged above 20 to learn English together. This one such a good experience for us to contribute to Indonesia education. ITC also have YouTube and Instagram to capture and spread all of the information about ITC. And today, I'm so glad that by having Mr. Phyo and Ms. Haneen, we would like to also share our insightful experience in teaching to enrich the teaching knowledge for volunteers and also people around the world. Maybe that's all the deliberation of ITC from me. Thank you very much. I give it back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Andini, for the explanation. Hopefully with this explanation, you guys can get to know ATC more deeply. Okay, it doesn't need to be too long. Now, let me introduce you to our guest speaker for today. The first speaker is Mr. Phyo. But sorry, Mr. Phyo, because we are in different country and this is the first time I pronounce a name like you, like yours. And so I want to ask you, how do you pronounce your name, sir?
Yes, you're right, Miss Evie. Yeah, it's Phyo. You can tell. You can call me Phyo. Yeah.
For your full name?
Yeah, it's Phyo Wai Tun.
Phyo Wai Tun.
Yeah.
Is it right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. So, guys, Mr. Phyo Wai Tun is an English language teacher from Myanmar who recently earned an MA in TESOL from the University of Work. Passionate about decentering ELP, he focuses on empowering teachers through bottom-up approaches in teacher education and development. His specialization lies in supporting teachers facing challenging circumstances. Yeah, that's a short profile about Mr. Phyo, guys. Yeah, how amazing he is, right? You are so amazing, Mr. Okay, without further ado, I will hand it over to Mr. Phyo for his presentation. So, Mr. Phyo, please.
Thank you for your great introduction, Miss Evie. Hi, everyone. Many thanks to the ITC, firstly, for inviting me to this webinar. So let me share my screen for today's presentation. Okay, everyone, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, thank you. So I give a title for today's presentation as is a kind of metaphor, hidden gems in the educational landscape. So let's see what does it mean. So in my presentations today, there will be six main sections in my presentation today. I usually start with why I choose this topic, why we need to focus on this topic, and then what does it means and how we can do it. And for today's presentation, I combine my personal opinions and experiences as well as the recent findings from my research. So there will also be sharing some of the findings from my research, and then I will conclude my today's presentation. And we will have some time for the question and answer, but I think we also have a discussion session. So if you have any questions, you can think of questions, and then we can discuss in the discussion sessions according to the agenda. So in today's presentation, there might be some communication with me and you all. So you might need to type in the chat quite often. So please be ready to engage with today's presentation. But unfortunately, for now, I couldn't see your chat. So Miss Evie or Danny, if there is any urgent messages or chats, can you please tell me throughout the presentation? Yep. Thank you very much. So let's start with some warm-up questions for today. It's great to know about the teaching community. Danny has been introducing about this community while we are here together. So I want to know more about you. Can you tell me? Can you just type A or B or C or D or E about your current role? Some of you might be a teacher to be. You're not a teacher now, but some of you might be starting your teaching career, or some of you might be an experienced teacher. So can you just type? I want to know about you all. So can you just type A, B, or C or D? Just the letter is fine. I want to see. I want to know about you all.
Mostly D's. I'm trying to help you reading it.
Okay, thank you,
So
thank you,
mostly D,
Danny.
but we have a variety of A and E. But D is like the most reply.
Okay. If it is E, if you choose E, can you specify about your role? If it is okay for you. So what do you mean by E? Are you if you are not a teacher, or what is your role? That would be great. And it's really surprising to know about most of the audience. Most of you are experienced teacher, having over 5 years of teaching experiences. So that's amazing. And it's also great to know it's a variety of teachers joining today. Okay, thank you very much. It's great to know about the variety. So now let's move to the next question. So today, if we look at the webinar's title of, if we look at it, we might see the teaching English in difficult times. So when we say difficult times, I believe we might have our own challenges or difficulties. So can you share? Do you have any challenges or difficulties with teaching when you teach in your own context, in your school, in your college? What are the challenges you have? It might be an online teaching or teaching physically. So can you just type the challenges you have? For example, it might be classroom management, or it might be, if you're teaching online, it might be a connection problem. What kind of challenges do you have? Feel free to type in the chat again.
Right, Bapak and Ibu, feel free to type your challenges in your context.
Yeah.
And this is something that we learn in the uni, Phyo and Haneen, that everyone has like their own unique context, and it's a good idea to get to know each other about everyone's context.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I want to know more about the difficulties or challenges you have, because I think mostly our country shares similar challenges or difficulties. I hope so.
Oh, we've got one feedback, Phyo.
Yes.
Bu Anissa, she said connection and students' personality.
Yeah.
And from Mr. Ahmad Sultan, the challenges are the students are difficult to learn English because they think that English is not really important lesson.
So it might be related with motivation, learner motivation.
Motivation.
Yeah.
And also another feedback from Hanisa Harris. It's related to classroom management, and from Buris Karahmi, my students' motivation in studying.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
Oh, so one more from Mr. Aggie. My challenge is to teach students with special needs. This is something that maybe many people overlook it.
Yeah. Special needs student. Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you very much for sharing the challenges you have. So if you can think of any more challenges, you can just type anytime you want. For now, according to the time limitation, let's move to the next one. So the next one is you will need to choose A or B. If you think our ability to teach, or teaching excellence is limited or constrained by the challenges or circumstances we have. If you think it is constrained by these challenges or circumstances, please type A in the chat. And if you think no, they are not, they could not be constrained, if we have experienced teaching practices, exceptional teaching practices can thrive regardless of the challenges faced, whatever the challenges we have. So exceptional teaching practices can thrive, can survive, can adapt to these challenges. If you think it is B, type B in the chat again. Thank you.
Alright, Bapak dan Ibu, you can type and let's see what you think about this issue. Okay. Alright, we've got B, exceptional teaching practices can thrive regardless of the challenges faced. Okay, we have B and then, okay, let's see. Okay, so 3 answers B and nobody has answered A yet.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
Don't be shy, yeah. If you think it's A, it's okay that we have differences.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you know that as a fellow Southeast Asian, I think being straightforward is sometimes seems impolite, and we're not supposed to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for sharing, everyone. Again, we will come back to this at the end of today's presentation. So for now, let's start with the first part. Why I say finding or looking for unveiling hidden gems. So look at Indiana Jones here, looking for the hidden gems. And so here, why? My context is about the online teaching. I would like to focus on more about online English teaching in difficult circumstances. That is unique to my country and also my dissertation. So I want to focus on that. So as we all know, since COVID-19 outbreak, so we have to rely on online teaching. Almost all the countries have to stop physical classrooms and we have to move to online teaching. But after the pandemic, some of the countries, so they could resume their physical classes, and online teaching, that doesn't matter for them anymore. But for most countries, like for example, because of the natural disaster, like an earthquake happens in Turkey, or like a political crisis like in my own country, so we still have to rely on online education because physical classrooms are in danger, and we have to close physical classrooms. Schools are not safe anymore because of the civil war happening. So we have to rely on online teaching. We still have to rely on online teaching. And I learned about this teaching community that most of your classroom are also online teaching. So I hope it relates a little bit. So for us, for my country, we have to rely on online teaching. But for the basic needs of online teaching is the internet connection. But we have challenges like poor internet connection, limited resources, and inadequate teacher training. So we have a lot of challenges faced by online teachers. But despite these challenges, I hear success stories of teachers by adapting to these challenges, and they develop effective teaching practices suitable and appropriate for their specific context. That's why I believe that there are actually hidden gems despite these challenges. Why most studies or most people tend to say why we have challenging and difficult circumstances. So there cannot be like exceptional teaching, but I believe there are. So that's why I explored these exceptional practices. And I believe that these will be beneficial to teachers and educators in similar context. And these contexts I refer to as difficult circumstances, which is also the similar topic of today's webinar. So the term difficult circumstances has actually been using for many years in the literature. So they refer the term as teaching in difficult circumstances. Some people say teaching in low resource context, teaching in low income or developing countries like my own country. So to be able to consider as teaching in difficult circumstances, if our classroom is a large classroom which involve over 14 learners, maybe more than that, 16 learners, and it is lack of basic resources, like they just only got blackboard and chalk and they don't have any extra teaching aids, or maybe the learners there, they are not ready, actually not ready, they just pass one grade after another, that's ready for the next class. Or maybe the teachers, they are just very busy, they have heavy workload and they don't have time for training and they don't receive any support. So if they have these kind of situations, they refer the term as teaching in difficult circumstances in the literature. But here, for my own study and for my own country, I want to refer back to online teaching. So for online teaching, I say difficult circumstances because the internet connection is unstable in my country, and some of the areas don't get access to the internet connection because it has been cut down by the military, and the electricity is unreliable because we got only 4 hours per day electricity. Why online teaching is the most important and crucial education opportunity for most students in the country, but we don't have stable internet connection and electricity, and most of the online platforms and resources are limited. For example, we're not allowed to use Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, social medias. So previously we used these social media platform to connect with students and to connect with other teachers, but we're no longer allowed to use. And then so we have to choose online teaching, but we are not ready for online teaching. But we don't have teacher training and support programs. So when I hear about this teaching community, I'm really glad to know that they are doing a lot for the teachers in Indonesia. It's an amazing. So that's the problems we have, and I always say that there's a difficult circumstances for online teaching. And how do we solve this problem? So far, for the first problem of internet connection and the higher price in internet field, what we do is we do blended online teaching. It involves sending recorded videos so the students can watch these videos at the they can get access to the internet. And plus, we have one live session per week. So when students have questions or to discuss, so that we can meet face to face once a week. For unreliable electricity, there is nothing much we can do. So if they can afford, they buy solar panel and they use power bank. But most students, I always find most students, they have to use candlelight to while they are teaching and the electricity was cut off. They use candlelight to continue to learn. And for the restriction of social media platform, that also have an impact, because teaching is not, I believe teaching is not just about using the screen face to face, it's also about communicating before and after the class. So what we use is, that's why teachers have to use multiple platforms to communicate. In addition to the Messenger, Telegram, Viber, we have to use several platforms to communicate. So for the last one, like our teacher training and support, so there are some started online teacher training programs like ITC today, but still we need a lot because most of the non-government organizations like British Council teacher training programs, they stopped their teacher training programs since the military coup happened. So we still have to rely a lot on them, and we still need a lot of teacher training programs. So that's how do we solve. So before I move to the next part, I would like to check again your level of attention because I have been talking a lot. So can you just type again if your attention, if you can stay focused on the lesson, and if it is very high, like a bird, type bird. If it is moderate, not too high, not too low, type rabbit. If it is low, oh, it's boring, you think, just type turtle. And you're not interested in anymore, just type snail. Feel free to type your own comment. It's just checking your level of attention before I move to the next part. Thank you.
Sorry, Phyo, and as a reminder, you have around 7 more minutes.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Yes, I think that's will be enough. Can you see some messages again, Danny?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we have some birds here and rabbits.
Okay.
Yeah. So the most common are birds and rabbits, and we don't have any tortoises or snails, luckily.
Okay. Thank you, Danny. Okay, thank you everyone for your comments. So let's move to the next one. I will say the most important one I would like to show. And so let's get that part. So according to my studies, my research, I would like to show the exemplary teacher characteristics in difficult circumstances. We are in difficult circumstances, but we try our best. And according to the teachers I have studied, they show exceptional characteristics. So despite the challenges, they try to adapt to these challenges and they develop their teaching practices. So the first one is these teachers, they have strong knowledge in 7 domains of TPAC. You might not be familiar with TPAC. Basically, it's about teaching knowledge. So when it comes to online teaching, we say it might involve technological knowledge, knowing which platform to use, which devices to use for their teaching, knowing how to use PowerPoint like this, and knowing pedagogical knowledge, knowing which method to use, which method is appropriate to the students, and the content knowledge, knowing the subject they are teaching. If they are teaching English, they know well about English language. If they are teaching science, they know well about science. So the teachers, I say exemplary teachers, they have strong knowledge in terms of these areas. If you want to know more about TPAC, you can just type in Google about TPAC framework, and you will know more about that. But for now, according to time frame, so let's move to the next quality characteristic. So the exemplary teacher, whatever they are in difficult or not, the one thing I found is they built good relationship with student. So before they start their lesson every day, before they start their lesson, they try to spend 5 or 10 minutes to start to have an informal chat with students, and by this way they try to build relationship with students. So that is one of the quality of the teacher, exemplary teacher in difficult circumstances. And the next one is they adapt to student needs, individual student needs. So for example, for online teachers in my country, some students, sometimes they have to turn off their camera because the internet connection is not good. Sometimes some students couldn't use some social media platform because it is dangerous for them. So the teacher trying to adapt to these individual student needs by using additional platform. It's an extra workload for the teacher, but she trying to adapt to student needs. For a student in a low internet connection area, so the teacher trying to send the recording and then follow up that student. So that is another quality I found about the teacher characteristics. And the next one is the teacher care. The teacher show a real care for their students and then for their learning journey. And the last one, let's say the last one is the teachers try to follow the structure, try to build the structure, but they also allow freedom. One example is, so they make a good lesson plan. They have a structure. They teach the learners, not the plan. Which means depending on the learner, they change their lesson plan. So they just focus on their learner, not their plans. So these are some of the characteristics that I found from my study, and I want to share with you all. So, so in conclusion, so that's why, according to my study and according to my own experiences of studying online teacher in difficult circumstances, I would like to say that the first point, teaching excellence might be constrained by difficult circumstances, but is not totally constrained by difficult circumstances. And exceptional teaching practices can thrive regardless of the challenges faced. That's what I want to make a point today. And thank you very much for your attention today. If you have any questions, we will have a discussion sessions later. Thank you. Let me stop my screen now. Okay. Thank you. Danny, so we have a discussion session, right?
Yes, Mr.
Yes, after the second speaker.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Phyo, for that informative presentation. I think you guys must have asked Mr. Phyo a lot of questions, right? But before that, let's first listen to our second speaker, who will also discuss her teaching experience. And let's welcome Miss Haneen. Hello, Miss Haneen.
Hello, Miss Evie. Nice to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, Miss. Sorry. Is it correct to pronounce your name Miss Haneen?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. 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 By the way, Miss Haneen, you look gorgeous today.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Really kind.
Okay. Okay, I will tell you guys a little about Miss Haneen. So, her name is Haneen Jadallah. She is from Gaza, Palestine. She is an English language teacher, a teacher trainer, and remote theater specialist. She has a special interest and expertise in drama and language learning and intercultural remote theater. She has developed her own framework for students to create their own plays and to perform them remotely to the outer world. She is passionate about connecting young people in Palestine with their peers around the world through intercultural links up and remote theater. She has an MA degree in drama and English language teaching at the University of Work. So, yeah, please welcome Miss Haneen.
Thank you very much for your introduction, Miss Evie, and thanks, Danny, for the invitation. And I would like to extend my thanks to the team for organizing such sharing rich session. So first of all, I am from Gaza, Palestine, and this is an extremely challenging environment to teach in. So I have taught in Gaza for 9 years before I came to the UK to do my master's in drama and English language teaching from the University of Warwick. And today I would like to shed the light on innovative approaches that came out of the crisis in Gaza. Danny, I wonder if you could share the slides now.
Sure. So let me. Oops. Sorry. So can you see it?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much.
Good. Let me know when I need to change the slide.
Okay. So my presentation will be about success stories from educational system in Gaza, and I will shed the light on innovative approaches that came out of the crisis and the need of those learners who live such challenging circumstances. So the outline will be first about the context, and then I will talk about what does it mean remote theatre and what kind of approach did we use. And then I would talk about a particular project that we did with Argentina, linking our two schools together in an approach called Your Story, Our Story. So about the context in Gaza. So as you probably know or heard, that more than 2 million people live in 360 kilometers tiny piece of land, and this is the most densely populated areas in the world. Those people are regularly attacked and forced to flee their homelands internally. Those people are experiencing a blockade for more than 17 years. So they are controlled in terms of electricity, food and water, and they don't have, or they have very limited opportunities to travel and communicate with the outer world. The educational system in Gaza is mainly governmental and UNRWA schools. So governmental schools have most pupils in Gaza, and UNRWA schools have people who are originally from the occupied Palestine. Our classes are quite large, 42 to 50 people in the class with mixed abilities, and the educational environment is underprivileged and low-resourced. But I must say that it's underprivileged in terms of physical equipment. So all you have as a teacher is blackboard and chalks, and students are sitting normally in rows by desks, and they're coming from extremely difficult circumstances, but the teachers there are very creative, and they are always striving to find the best opportunities for their students to communicate in English, to link to the world, and to know about the world. And this is one unique thing about the teachers and students in Gaza. And also the students are motivated to learn, because education is the only outlet that they can educate people about their crisis, their situation, their hopes, their dreams. They have always shown how optimistic and positive they are, and how motivational they will be to do link-ups with the world. So, before we proceed to our first approach, I would like to ask you, have you ever used drama or performances in your English class? I would appreciate it if you could type the answer in the chat box. So have you ever used drama like role play, improvisation, character creating, any kind of drama or performance in your classroom? That's brilliant. A lot of people are saying yes. And some people are saying no. So yeah, good. Right. So let's move to the first approach that we developed, and it came from Gaza. So online, before I talked about remote theatre, it's the course book in Gaza is English for Palestine, and it's published by Macmillan Publishers, but it's honored a lot the Palestinian culture and the Palestinian values. So all the lessons in English for Palestine are linked to the Palestinian culture, Palestinian places, Palestinian values. It contains communicative activities, but the most essential thing is how to use this course book to link the students to the world. And that's how we enriched the course book, that's how we sort of complemented it with task-based drama projects that I'm going to run you through now. So the first approach was learner's voice in the world, which is remote theatre. And what do we mean by remote theatre? It's helping the learners to perform plays using online platforms like Zoom and Teams and Google Meet, whatever online platform is accessible in your context you could use to help learners to perform plays on that. For us in Palestine, we were using Zoom, and it was facilitated by a UK registered charity that I used to work for. So it's important before we proceed with that to read this quote. Student voice is already there. It's not something we give, it's something we honor and we do when we listen. So as teachers of English particularly, we are dealing with our learners as whole human beings, not as just language learners, and we want to push and impose grammar and structure and writing on them. We're treating them as people who want to share stories, who have backgrounds, and in a context like Gaza, there are a lot to talk about. There are a lot of stories that they wanted to share with the world, and there is a lot of tendency that they wanted to link based on the fact that they can't travel, they have very limited opportunity to be in contact with the world. And that's how remote theatre developed, out of the need of those children to connect to the world, to show their creativity, to perform their stories, and to tell their stories to the world. Remote theatre is performing a play basically on Zoom. We chose Zoom because Zoom is accessible and it's adaptable to the weak internet connection in such context. Throughout my journey with teaching English in Gaza, I developed a framework to help those learners to perform plays on Zoom in a systematic and structured steps. And you can take this framework as it is and use it. You can adapt it, you can add to it, or you can remove some steps from it. Can we move on, Danny?
Sure.
So the first step is the teacher sets up a drama club or a drama-based project. So imagine that you're teaching a course book. So you don't want to have extracurricular project. You want to base it on your course book. So you say, okay, for this term, we've got a drama-based project, and you have to use whatever structure, whatever grammar, whatever new vocabulary you learned during that term, all the way through to produce a play. And it starts with a story. So the teacher sets the project, drama-based, at their schools, and then it connects them to a volunteer. Like, say that they wanted to connect to another school in another country. Can we move on? The teacher asks each learner to write a story in English. It could be as simple as a personal story. It could be about anything they wanted to share about their context, a dream they wanted to achieve, some hopes, interests. And then they came to the class the next day with their stories in English. Of course, we give them the space to do that. And then when they came back, the teacher divides them into groups and asks them to share their stories with the whole group. Next. After that, this story, after sharing the story with the whole group, they have to agree to choose one of the stories to convert this into a play to be performed with their peers on Zoom to another class in another country, or to another teacher in another country, or another volunteer, or somebody who wants to give them feedback. So as a teacher, you model a script, and the students convert their stories into plays. So the story is a narrative, and then the play have to have characters, roles, stage directions, and then the teacher asks them, after they work together in a group, very rich language learning environment, very rich language learning context, because they work together, they discuss the characters, they choose their characters, they choose the stage directions. It always works, but it needs a lot of patience from the teacher and a lot of support for the first time. And then the teacher collects the scripts from the groups and edits, reformulates them in terms of language, punctuation, grammar, structure, to make it more comprehensive in terms of English language. And then the teacher in the next class provides the after version of the script, so the version in which the teacher edits, and then asks the groups to get back together and try to remember, do a memory challenge, remember how this script has developed, what kind of structures have been changed by the teacher, what kind of vocabulary have been replaced. And after the groups are given that chance to share with each other and with the class the changes, the teacher handed back the before script with the very first version of the students' work. And then they will be able to have a look and see if they've got it right. Look at the discussion that's going to happen in English when they discuss the differences between their two versions before and after. And they're given the chance to have a more comprehensive language script than the one they created, with honoring their very first draft. After that, rehearsing and practicing the script. So students get together, I come back to them, I go around the groups, the students rehearse their plays and start to put their emotions in the lines and get ready to perform the play on Zoom to another audience somewhere else in the world. Then when they're ready, they have a lot of practice with me and with their classmates. And then when this is a picture of them in the playground, starting to rehearse and put their emotions in the lines and practice before a session with a playwright in the UK, Peter Oswald, who was working with me on that project. Then, next, Danny, then the girls are given the chance to perform that play that they have created to Peter, and then Peter is going to give them feedback. The feedback was sent to me as their teacher as a written feedback, but also given to them verbally, and they will go back to their groups and refine their performances. Next. So, of course, the play is published and a video recording is available. And these are the summary of the steps that I talked about during that presentation, that you can always look back to and see how you can use this, how you can refine it, how you can work on that in your own classroom and your own level and your own circumstances. Next. So that was remote theatre. And the question, why? Why do we link people and help them to perform plays to the outer world? Well, first of all, because of the need of those children to connect to the world because of their circumstances, to enable them to write their own stories and reflects the cathartic nature of writing, because when they use English, they will be less emotional about the difficult circumstances because there is a space and a barrier between them and the language. And this could be therapeutic to them. They could heal through telling their stories and performing them to the world, to know that somebody out there in the world cares about them. To emphasize the concept of creating rather than consuming. And also it's an invitation to people from diverse contexts to re-perform these stories. And this is an example of a workshop that I call it at Warwick University last year. So can we move on, Danny? Where groups of drama students Do you remember that, Danny? You were involved in that.
That was my idea.
Learners plays in diverse contexts. So, scripts of plays that were created by young people in Palestine were provided and submitted to groups in the room, in the drama department and the ESOL, and they were working together and they performed those plays back to their original author in Gaza. And the author in Gaza, which were students of mine and my colleagues, they were able to provide you with constructive feedback. Is that right, Danny? Do you remember that? They were able to tell them, oh, you could do that differently. You could use that background. You could put more emotions in that line. So they were very good at giving constructive feedback. I will talk very quickly about intercultural remote theatre. So intercultural remote theatre is basically connecting two groups of young learners in two different countries and help them to perform a play together. So remote theatre was just one group to an audience around the world, but intercultural remote theatre, which was developed after COVID, it's connecting two groups from two different countries. And this project called Your Story, Our Story, it's a kind of playback theatre, and it mainly concerns about performing personal stories. So this is a picture from young learners in Palestine and in Gaza and Argentina. And this is my colleague Terry, who I worked with. And we helped our students to write stories, personal stories in particular. It has to be personal stories without names for the first place. We swapped the stories. So Argentinian students were performing Palestinian personal stories, and Palestinian students were performing Argentinian personal stories. And this is a chance to enhance their intercultural understanding, how they could reflect their identities and their personal stories, but how they could also approach each other's cultures in performing each other's stories, because the Argentinian students are not performing their own, they're performing the personal stories coming from Gaza, and the opposite is true. Next. Next, Danny, just keep going until so that's, I talked about this. And I talked about this. Yeah, I talked about this as well, Danny. Yes, so this is so how much time have I got?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 5 more minutes.
Okay, so I would like to play this snippet from the discussion that took place between the kids in Argentina and Gaza after they performed the Argentinian story. Can you click on the video in the slide if it's working, Danny? Oh, no sound. It's fine. I can talk about it. I was asking them how different or similar is this story when it happened to you than seeing it performed by another people who are coming from a completely different culture. And the girl was talking about that she felt nervous when the taxi driver was talking to her in the taxi, but the Argentinian children performed it in a very funny way. So they added a different emotion than she felt. And then they were talking about how drivers in different countries behave and how much power have they got to talk to passengers. So, for example, drivers, the girl was talking about drivers in Gaza, that they have the chance, they are allowed to talk to passengers, and the Argentina were saying no, they're not allowed. So this is a point where they could find how similar or different their contexts are through performing each other's personal stories. So that's for me for today, and I am happy to answer all your questions. And if you would like to get in touch, I am going to run a training for intercultural remote theatre, because this is my area and that my master's was about. And this is my email. Feel free to contact me, and I am ready to provide materials and support and guidance as I can. Thanks very much for listening and for having me. I will hand over to Evie now.
Okay, oh my god, thank you so much, Ms. Haneen, for that informative presentation. I think that's enough explanation from our two amazing speakers. And yeah, now we come to our new session. It is time to open the floor for questions and discussion. So guys, please raise your hand or type your question in the chat box and we will call on you in order. Okay? Please give your questions by raise your hand or type your question in the chat box.
Okay, anyone, feel free to raise your hands and or type your questions here. We would like to connect you. This is, I believe, is a rare opportunity to invite two honorable speakers today. Phyo from Myanmar and Haneen from Palestine. So if you have concerns or ideas or maybe any other questions related to the speak, or anything related to English teaching or education in general, even that topic, feel free to ask those questions. Oh, okay. We've got some people raising their hands here. Wait, let me scroll. Okay, so we have first Miss Alifa and then Miss Adna, and after that Mr. Nopri. Sorry, okay, Mr. Noprifal. Okay, so Miss Abby, would you like to take it over? So maybe start from Miss Miss Alifa. Okay, hello Miss Alifa, are you there? Miss Alifa, you're raising your hand. Would you speak up, open your microphone, just in case you forgot it? Hello, Miss Alifa. Okay, it seems that she's experiencing some technical problems, so let's go to Miss Adna. Hello, Miss Adna. Miss Adna, can you please open your microphone? Okay, it seems that they're raising their hands, but they are very shy to speak. Okay, maybe I would like to go to Miss Norma. Yeah, sorry, Mr. Norma. Can you please unmute? Okay. Hi. Okay, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Norma.
Okay, well, thank you so much for this great opportunity for me to talk. Well, with whom that I have to ask here? With Ms. Haneen or Phyo?
Up to you. Who do you want to ask? Because we have two different contexts here. Ms. Haneen with her drama expertise and Mr. Phyo with his teacher training and other circumstances.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Anyway, I want to take this chance to introduce myself first. I'm an English teacher actually in one of the oldest provinces in Indonesia, in Central Kalimantan, if you know that place. It's very, very beside the jungle, we can say that. So it's really great for me to talk. Well, I want to say that I want to ask to Mr. Phyo about his experience in online teaching. Actually, what do they need for a student in online teaching here? Because actually there are five skill of teaching, five skill in English, just like reading, listening, speaking, like that. Which one is needed almost for them?
Okay, Mr. Luma. So, anything else?
Do you got one pen here?
Yeah. So your question is, among the four skills of English language, which one is the most needed in online teaching? Is that your question?
Yes, of course it's
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. So that's the first question, and the second question. Okay, let me read some comments in the chat. Oh, do you want to ask the second question for Miss Haneen?
Yeah, for Miss Haneen, Miss or Mrs. I don't know exactly. Well, for Miss Haneen from Palestine, I'm curious to know that what language do you use for teaching anyway? Is it Arabic or fully English? That's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We got it, Mr. Nurma. Thank you very much. All right. So I think, Phyo and Haneen, you can answer that first before we move on to the next question in the chat. Okay. So I think, Phyo, you can start question among the four language skills. Which one do you think is the most needed in online teaching?
Okay. Thank you, Danny. Thank you very much for your question. Nama, right? Yeah.
Nurma. We call it Nurma.
Nurma. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, Nurma. So I'm a little bit confused about the question. Is it about what is needed for students or for teachers?
For students, actually.
Oh, for students. I think it depends on who your students are. So, for example, so are they learning English for the exam, to take the exam, or are they just learning to improve their language proficiency? For example, or are they learning for their career? So, if they are learning for their career, so for example, they might just need speaking only. As long as they can speak fluently, then it's fine for them. But if they are if they are learning for their exam, so they might need to master maybe writing, reading, and it depends. I mean, it depends on the students and what their purposes, why they are joining your class. I think. I hope this answers your question. Yes.
Okay. I mean, based on your experience, which one is the almost? Which one is the most needed?
It's difficult to say which one is the most needed. It depends on our learner. For example, I have adult learners in my online class. So she wants to learn English because she needs to speak in English. She needs to communicate with the foreigner who is working with her. But the teenagers in my class, they need to learn English because they have an exam. So it depends on our learners, I think. Yes.
Yeah, I got it.
You. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Danny, I hope any more questions? Yeah.
I think Haneen also has got a question from Mr. Nurma, and that question was, what language do you use for teaching? Is it fully English, or is it a mix of Arabic English, or is it mostly Arabic? What is your approach, Haneen?
Well, if you're asking, thank you very much, Mr. Norma, for that question. It's a good question. Well, if you're asking me about my approach, because I am teaching teenage learners, so from 12 to 15, totally use English, but it needs a bit of a training at the beginning. So I train them. I use prompts in the classroom. So I put lots of pictures and English instructions. So I train them to use the classroom instructions first. And then I use a lot of miming and storytelling and chants and different approaches to help them use and understand English with me. So that's regarding the teenage learners level. But if you're talking about very little kids, young learners from 6 to 10, I would say it's a mixture of Arabic and English. But to be able to use English as a medium of instruction in the classroom, it needs a bit of a training at the beginning and encouragement and various approaches like miming what you're saying and putting around the classroom all the instructions like put your hands up, put your pens down, hold lightly and board, or whatever instructions you use, you could just display them around the classroom walls and they could always have a look at them and remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, can I ask for one more question?
Okay, and one last question, yeah, because we have some questions in the chat. So go ahead, Mr. Norma.
Just one last one. The last one. Okay, for Ms. Haneen, in what age your student are able to take your full English instruction?
Well, as I said, because every year I used to teach a different age. So sometimes I teach 13-year-old, sometimes 14. And if I understood your question, you're asking about in which year they are able to understand me talking in English.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, they are able to. They were able to understand. They were 13 and 14 and 15, and they were able to because I trained them, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's different. It's a huge difference. Mm-hmm.
From your
I think Mr. Norma is referring to the fact that in Indonesia, because what is it like? It's like a challenge for Indonesians to master English. Like even though we learn English for so many years, it's a bit difficult for us to speak like fully English. Is that your context, Mr. Norma? And I believe this is the context.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe if I may, what is it like? Modify the questions. I think like when you started teaching them from day one, and how long do you need to, let's say in your context, you're teaching teenagers, how long do you need to make them speak fully English starting from day one? From, let's say, they know nothing about English to they are able to communicate fully in English with you?
For myself, I think if it's about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I was actually referring to Haneen, so maybe we can use this as a reference. So, how is it, Haneen, like in your context? Like, how long did you need to take to make them speak fully in English, like from day one until what they are at their level right now?
I think it pretty much depends on the learners themselves, but I would say in term 2, so after 3 months of training and speaking and doing activities and several things, they usually would be able to speak and understand fully in English after 2 to 3 months.
Oh, that's a really short time for that.
Yeah, maybe we need a new.
It could take years, but the most. Yeah, sorry, Danny.
Perhaps I can say that the difference here is the method. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so maybe I think that's quite shocking. Yeah, knowing that you just need like from 0 to very capable learners, like you need 2 until 3 months. So I was thinking about like doing like a new session to discuss that. I think there are so many teachers who would like to know your approach and how to do that. Okay. By the way, thank you very much, Mr. Numar, for that interesting insights. Now, allow me to move on to the chat here. Well, I could see that you have answered that, but could you please elaborate that, Hanin? So the question is from Miss Siti Noraini. What about you? How? I mean, maybe the question is like, how do you solve the problem with childrens who have, what is it? Who are tired or who have bad mood? How do we improve their motivation? Something like that.
Yeah.
So could you please elaborate?
Yeah, because if you're dealing with a lot of students in a large class, so of course you can't do one-to-one tutorial with the students to let them talk about their feelings and their targets and their outcomes of the course and everything. So what you can do, you can encourage everybody to use a diary that they can write their emotions, feelings about their days, anything they want, either in their own language or in English, and they would be able to release these feelings. And then in the English language class, it's our responsibility to provide that engaging environment that would distract them from the negative feelings. And for me, it's all in drama and theatre for me. So some people might use games, some people might use music, some people might use communicative approaches. So it really depends on what your approach as a teacher. But about the negative feelings, the really hard circumstances, you can always, as I said in the presentation, deal with the learner as a whole human being. And one approach that my friends and colleagues from the UK, David Heathfield and his wife, Tammy, they were using with their learners something called Learner Diary. A very good approach, but I tried it out with my ESOL learners at the moment, where they can write down in their diaries, so what key vocabulary have they learned, what structures, expressions, new things that they have learned like during the week. And then they can draw an emotion to that. You can add to that something about their daily life routine or stories that they wanted to share, and you can have a look and sign them at some point when you have some free time. And then the students would feel included. But if you would like to implement some drama activities and you're asking about that, how to create engaging in drama activities environment, so I just put my email in the chat box. You can just feel free to contact me, and I would be able to provide some guidance and support in that. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that sounds like a great, idea. So learner's diary, and the fact that they can draw anything, put some colors. I think that makes it interesting, because mostly notebooks are boring. Sorry to say this, but this is just based on my experience. Yeah, when I was a student, like when I just wrote and wrote without adding any pictures, that's gonna be boring. Unfortunately, some teachers, like when I was a student, when they put some drawings in their book, the teachers might have negative attitude towards that, and well, that's so sad. I think when they can express themselves, they can release the tension, and I think they will be much more interested in reading the notes. Anyway, so here we have a question from Miss Tia Rahmania, and this is to Phyo and Haneen, or Haneen, sorry. So do you have any tips for teachers to not feel bored teaching the same thing over and over again? This happened to me sometimes. I don't really enjoy teaching as much. So Phyo, do you have any tips for that?
Oh, okay. That's a great question. Yeah, if we have to teach the same class, the same lesson for a long time, we might feel bored. But at least, what we can do is, I think, to engage in the community like this, for example, teaching community, or if you don't want to involve in teaching community, you can just talk to your colleague or your friend working together. And for this, we have we have a framework called cooperative development, which is also another session. I have been also sharing about cooperative development too. So if you are involved and if you are engaged in doing for your professional development and you learn something new, or you found some problems of your students are interesting, so it means you're interested in. So let's say when you learn something new, so you want to try it out with your students. For example, today Haneen shared about writing diary for their students. So you learn this, and so you're teaching them the same content, but you can try different approach like you have learned today. So overall, I mean, as long as you are engaging and you are participating in professional development, then you will learn something new and you can try it out with your student. Then it will be, hopefully, you will not get bored anymore. Yeah, thank you.
Can I add something to that, Phyo?
Yeah, of
Yes,
course.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I would say it changed the way you deliver the material in each class, and that will help you not to feel bored. So, for example, if you're doing for the first class, if you're doing it as group work, and the next class, try to have some time, the first 10 minutes, just music, some breathing exercises with the students, something they want to share about their weekend or their last evening or something they're planning to do. Just create this bond for the first 10 minutes and then change the way you deliver the same lesson in the next class. So, for example, do it as a kind of pair work and peer assessment rather than doing it as a group work as we did in class. Add some music in the gaps, help them to do some activities or do it in a kind of game or a quiz or a competition. So just change the way you deliver the material. And there are plenty of resources on the internet about ways that you can implement in order to change the way you deliver your material. So it's the same content, the same lesson plan, the same activities, but you just change the way you're delivering it. So if I am doing it as a group work, for the next class, I will do it as pair work, as writing activity. For the third class, I will incorporate some music and always have a couple of minutes in the beginning to talk to the students, to chat, tell them about you, and encourage them to tell you about themselves as well. Thank you.
All right, nice. Okay, so let's move on. By the way, for those who ask questions, if you want some follow-up, feel free to do that. We have some time here. So let me go to Miss Alia. So thank you, Miss Haneen. Can you tell us how they get the vocabulary immediately? I think what she means is how do they memorize vocabulary, like in your context for your students?
Well, for my students, they have got that tiny notebook just for vocabulary. So whatever vocabulary they learn within a context, because I don't teach vocabulary in isolation. Either I teach vocabulary in conversational English or in stories mainly. So they have that notebook, they write all the vocabulary for each class, whether they hear them in the class or whether they exist in the textbook. They gather those vocabulary and then they activate them in different activities, and that's how they learn them. But they can't be immediate because you need to practice your vocabulary to learn as many as you can. So you need to give it some time.
Do you also use a translation, by the way, Han? Like, for example, like Arabic and English translation for the word?
Sometimes, if the words are abstract and it's really difficult to put them in sort of energetic context, I would ask them to provide Arabic translation, but this is very, very rare because usually we learn vocabulary within a context. Pictures, conversations, and stories.
Direct method.
Yes.
Okay, right. So before we continue with the questions in the chat, I have seen that these people have raised their hands, but the last time I called, they didn't answer. So let me ask Kenya, Miss Alifa, are you there? Miss Alifa? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, nope. Okay, let's skip to Miss Atna. Are you there? Okay, no answers. How about Mr. Ahmad Sultan? Would you like to ask your...
Yeah, okay. Mr. Franz, maybe you can give the first opportunity to Mr. Noprifal, because Mr. Noprifal is the first time. I mean,
okay, right. Yeah, I have called him previously.
Yeah.
But Mr. Noprifal, are you there? Would you like to ask?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dani, and thank you for our great speakers, Haneen and Phyo. I have a question to both of you. Firstly, I would like to ask to Phyo regarding the classroom management. I have an experience teaching English in the class where the class the level of the English is different. We can say that some of them are lower, medium, and advanced. But in the same class. How to manage this class? I think this is something challenging for me. The second one, I would like to ask question to Haneen. My question is, in what age or in what grade drama is best to teach? The method that we can use to the student. Okay, thank you.
All right, Phyo, I think you can start answering the first question before moving on to Haneen.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Priva. Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much for this great question. I think teaching mixed level learners, yes, it's also in our own context in my country. We have mixed level learners in our classes because, especially in state education, and so what I did was to make a group of them to do group activity. So when they do group activity, so they have to take different roles. For example, if the learner who is very good at speaking, so who is very fluent, so he might be leading that group. But we also need to make other learners, low-level learners, to involve. So we might give them other task to do instead of leaving them out because they couldn't speak very well. So what we can do, one of the activity we can do is when they assign group, we might assign them different roles. So if they take different roles, depending on their levels and proficiency, so all of them will get involved. That is at least the easier ways, I think, the easier ways to do. But if we have time and if the learners are not that much, like very large classroom, So we can do the kind of differentiator instruction for them. So whatever we teach, we need to differentiate the content we are teaching, the material we are using, and the methods we are using. So we need to differentiate depending on our learners. But it might also take time to propose when we do our lesson plan. Yeah. I think that is at least what we can do for the mixed level learners. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, and Haneen, for the second question, what age is perfect for learning drama, and what kind of method? I think you have discussed the method, but okay, feel free to discuss anything related to that question.
What age is perfect to use drama with? Was that the question?
Yes.
Well, every single age is perfect because you've got loads and loads of drama activities that are just up to the level. So with young learners, it's more about the total physical response activities. So things that they move with, movements and miming and characters and masks, all that kind of stuff. With teenage learners and more advanced learners, approaches like the ones I presented about, more of writing their stories, creating scripts, creating characters, stage directions, performances. So drama is perfect for every age. But the thing is, you need to choose whatever suits your age group of learners. So if you have very young learners, it's more about physical activities and storytelling and pictures. And if you've got more advanced learners, so it's more about writing narratives, writing plays, performances, that sort of stuff. Yes.
Thank you very much, Haneen and Phyo.
Yes, you're very welcome.
I think we should hand over to moderator, if Miss Evi or Pak Dani.
Hi, okay, I'm back. Sorry, I just lost my connection. I had to switch to my operator. Sorry for that. Okay, I'm pretty sure the last question was answered. So can we move on to Mr. Sorry, what was the last one? Mr. Ahmad Sultan.
Yes, okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I want to give a question for both of you, Mr. Phyo and Mrs. Haneen. Thank you very much for your incredible story. I just cannot imagine that if I am in your situation, I means that in the different circumstance. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ahmad Sultan and I teach in high school in Malang, East Java, Indonesia. Just want to curious about the assessment towards the teaching and learning process in the classroom that you have done for the student. Do you involve the student for making assessment? I mean that you're giving ordering for the student. What should we do for assess you, something like that, or you determine about the assessment by yourself, relating with the rubric, for example, or maybe you just try to make or planning the assessment by your own. Thank you.
All right, Haneen, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, okay. Well, based on the educational governmental context you're teaching in, it's kind of one of the inquiries that you have to follow, the school's assessment grid. Okay, so that's one thing we agree about, I suppose. The other thing, if you're asking about assessment in the classroom, in my point of view, I think it should be a mixture of students assessing each other. So you could create a grid and they could just give each person one of it, and they could write notes and swap, which is very, very helpful. And also the teacher giving us assessments and feedback as well, because it's always important that the teacher has a room in the classroom and not leaving all to the students assess each other. So it really depends on what kind of activity you're assessing. Sometimes peer assessment works best. Sometimes you as a teacher assessing the students works best. But it's always important to keep the students in the loop of the activities and provide that grid. Have loads of copies in your folder and just give them those copies and say, for example, okay, so now just swap your papers and please write your feedback to each other. That's very powerful in the classroom. Yeah.
Okay,
That's
thanks,
how I
Haneen.
used to do.
Thanks. Okay, thank you.
It's okay. You're welcome.
All right. Okay. Do we have any other question? I'm pretty sure
Mr.
before I was
Mr. Dance, Mr.
Yes.
Phyo still not giving the answer. I think that I give for both of them, Mr. Phyo and also Mrs. Haneen, about my question.
What is it? Can you please make it more specific?
Yeah, okay. The question is the same like Mr. Haneen I have given. So, Mr. Phyo, how do you assess the student related with your own teaching and learning process in the classroom? Thank you.
Okay, thank
The
you.
assessment.
Yeah, assessment. When it comes to assessment, I think Danny is the expert.
No,
Danny.
I just took the
Yeah.
No, but that his question is to you, not to me. I mean,
Okay. So
Yeah.
I think is very great answer about peer assessment. That's very useful. I think you are also teaching high school students, so they are at the level where they could assess their peer. So that's a great technique to do a peer assessment. If they are high school student, I suppose like in my own country, so they might also need to propose for the national exam. I'm not sure whether here or not. In my country, they have to propose for the national exam. So what we can do is we can do for their summative assessment, like the national exam or monthly exam like this. So for the exam is pretty traditional. They have to take the paper based or maybe exam. But what we can do is, like Henning said, we can do classroom assessment, kind of formative assessment, like peer assessment. They're doing peer assessment, or simply we can just do at the end of every lesson we can do what is this called exit tickets. We can use exit tickets, and we can just by using exit tickets we can use short quizzes or questions, and so we can just know immediately whether they got what they are learning or not, what we have taught or not. But the thing I prefer most is asking them, especially if they're teenagers, asking them to do some projects if our lessons are also related to them. So by doing their own projects, it might be related with the lesson. So they are also improving their other skills like communication, discussion, working in group, teamwork skills, in addition to the assessment of the content we have taught. So basically, there are lots of many other techniques, but hopefully this technique might be helpful to your context.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Phyo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe because you mentioned my name, so I will try to add a little bit of information that I have learned from Jason's class. So basically, assessments like a way to know whether a student has learned or has mastered whatever we are teaching, and there are like what you said, there are tons of methods to do that. We can do it during the class. We can do it at the end of the class, like exit card that you mentioned. So before they exit the class, they write something in a piece of paper, just to see like what they feel or what they have learned or what they think they need to learn more. Like it can be anything. But of course, we also have like a summative assessment, which is like a summary word, you might say, which is like the goal of some institutions, especially schools, where at the end of the learning session, like let's say for a year or maybe for 3 years, they are supposed to know some knowledge about English, and that is proven by doing some kind of final exam, or something like that. But there are a lot of ways to do that. Even asking your friends, even the teacher asks like, okay, so do you understand, or is there any question? That is already a way of doing assessment. All right, so
okay, thank you, Mr. Dan, for your additional answer. Thank you very much.
Yes, okay, my pleasure. Okay, so right, not many messages to explore. Yeah, okay, and we also have like wonderful discussions in the chat about using games and also a lot of different techniques for implementing the class. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we can. I mean, if you want to know more about teaching techniques, feel free to find the keyword on Google. Just type ESL games, for example, and make sure after that keyword, for example, ESL game simple past, or ESL game simple present, or ESL game third conditionals. There are a lot of references on the internet that will help us to hopefully make our learning process not boring, but also effective for the students for the sake of their learning process. All right. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere before I was kicked out of the room. Yeah. Someone is working in Islamic boarding school. Maybe just for your context, yeah. Maybe Haneen and Phyo, you might be unfamiliar with this term. So basically, in Indonesia, because we are like the biggest Islamic country in the world, so there are a lot of schools that apply boarding school system.
Yes.
So the students they stay in the school.
Yeah.
So they sleep there, and then usually there are several people who will oversee. Like I think we have that system in Oxford School, like long time ago. So someone will be like the senior who will take care of their juniors, teaching, and so students spend their life there. They don't go home. Maybe they do that once a month, or maybe even once a year, something like that. And how to avoid boredom? I think that's the question that I remember seeing. So maybe Haneen or Phyo want to comment on that question.
So the question is how to
how to avoid boredom, because maybe students spend lots of time in that school, like doing lots of activities, and because it's Islamic school, maybe they do a lot of recitation, memorization for the Holy Book, Al-Quran, and also how about the boredom in English class? I think that was the question.
Oh, okay. Haneen.
Okay, if the question is about how to avoid boredom when the students are doing boarding school, so I would say holding up the social events and activities for the students from time to time would really help. Like, for example, I used to work in a boarding school in England, doing admin stuff, and what they were doing with their students, they were helping them to bake a cake. They would choose the recipe and do a whole social event in the afternoon where the students gather in one of the kitchens and bake a cake. Or before the festivals, like for example, before Halloween and Christmas, because it's obviously a boarding school in the UK, they were decorating the pumpkins, and so all the students were gathered. They were having one evening of a film. They would choose a movie they wanted to watch, and they would gather to watch it. So it really depends on what kind of social events you want to do in that boarding school to get away from the teaching learning rhythm and just get the students to get together and do something nice, like baking a cake or watching a movie or a whole storytelling evening where they can share stories from their traditional heritage, or such examples would really help. And the students like it.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Hanin. I think the idea of teaching, even though now it has shifted to a better direction, but I think many still think that teaching English should be done inside the classroom, which is not entirely true, because even when you sit down and have some snack while chatting with the students, I would say that is more powerful because it's fun. Everyone is having a great time while doing something in English with their teachers or even with their peers.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm pretty sure that can also be implemented not only in Islamic boarding schools but also in other regular schools, like holding social events. I'm pretty sure some schools do that, like I don't know, doing something outside or cooking together. That is a great, like great escape, from your daily routine to avoid boredom. All right. Okay, so we have some great comments here. The first one is it possible to have your contact, like Instagram or WhatsApp? Would it be okay? I can share it in our WhatsApp group later, both of your WhatsApp numbers. Is it okay? Or do you prefer emails maybe? How is it, Pio and Hanin?
Yeah, I think email will be fine because sometimes, emails will be fine. Let me type my email here.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. And I will share both of your slides in our WhatsApp group.
No problem. Yeah, we can share our slide.
Okay. I'm pretty sure Hanin has her own her email written in the slides for Phyo. Okay, everyone. If you want to connect to Phyo, you can contact that. And I'm pretty sure previously Hanin also has shared her email too. I think it was English all day at practice. Yeah. Okay, boarding school. Yeah, normally that is the common norm. Yeah. Okay, so all right. I'm pretty sure we are at the end of our session because it's like almost 9 p.m. in Western Indonesian time. In my time zone, it's almost 10 p.m. because I'm like an hour earlier.
Oh, 1 hour difference.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I see.
Oh, we have 3.
3. Oh.
Okay, great. So before we close the session, I have some announcement. Yeah. Okay. We would like everyone's feedback for our future webinars. So I would like to share a Mentimeter link. I hope you guys are familiar with this. So let me share it here. So basically, you can just click that, and that will direct you to our Mentimeter. Page? Wait, let me share it. Okay, click that, and please go to the. Hang on, I will go to the second slide because we have 2 slides. Yeah. The first slide is basically questions for our speakers. We have done it beautifully. So I would like you to go to the second slide, which I'm displaying at the moment. We have the code, it's 75121912. If you are joining using code, or if you just click the link that will direct you to this page. Just let me know if it's working. Oh, okay, we've got one response. Thank you very much. Be the best. Okay. Please give feedback for today's session and also for our future webinars. Maybe you have a request, for example, to run a session about, I don't know, like maybe to have a session with teachers from different countries, writing collaborative research article. I think Phyo is already he has done it, so maybe we can ask you, or maybe the other guys from our class who has got A in their assignments. Let's talk about tiered lesson. Wow, that's amazing. Really hits the hype. Thanks, ITC. Thank you. Thank you. That is wonderful. English literature. Man, that is that's such a heavy topic here. There will be some ice breaking. Oh, okay. Do you mean ice breaking in this seminar or? Oh, sorry. Yeah. I get it. Oh, ice breaking. Yeah. That's something that we haven't thought about. Thank you. The legend speakers. Legend speakers. Is it like legendary? I don't know, like healthy giants. I'm afraid that it's gonna be hard to invite those people. Think about David Crystal or I don't know, like some other guys. But maybe that means you guys are awesome, Phyo and Haneen. All right. Anyone else wants to give their? Oh, we have some more down there. Elizabeth, great. I love it. Have new friends. Hopefully, we have some moment like this in the future. Thank you very much. Give the chance to share the problem in teaching English. So by the problem, some teachers give the student to solve the problem. Oh, okay. It's like a sharing session, yeah? Okay, got it. To learn how to learn and teach English easy, that you know it as native speaker. Okay, yeah, well, native speakerism is an issue, yeah, Phyo and Hanun. I think we have talked about it in our master's course in the UK. A lot of people like still think that native speakers are the best. However, it is just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, that means it's not as simple as that. Yeah, but yeah, okay, still a good feedback. Yeah, even though if I may comment on that one, like nowadays, native speakerism is something blurry. What do you mean by native speaker? Or is native speaker always the best? If you want to compare, which one do you prefer? A well-educated non-native speakers who have very good English, or someone from, let's say, the US or the UK who is not educated, who speaks wrong grammar, non-formal English? Which one do you prefer as an English teacher? I think that's also an issue that we should talk about. Native speakerism is, yeah, it's still quite a topic. All right, more time learning pronunciation, still connect each other. Oh yeah, well actually we have a WhatsApp group. Maybe Miss Evie, would you like to share it? I'm pretty sure we come from the same WhatsApp group from different. I mean, we have made a WhatsApp group organized by ITC for this webinar, and I'm pretty sure maybe not everyone in this Google Meet comes from that WhatsApp group. So please, Miss Evie, share the link so that we can have, like some kind of sharing sessions, or maybe if you have anything to share, just do it. Okay, good opportunity to get to know. All right, English teaching strategy. Okay, like learning motivation. All right, I think that's enough. Yeah, thank you very much for your wonderful session. All right. So, as our appreciation for Phyo and Haneen, I would like to share our appreciation in the form of certificate. This is hang on. So yeah, so I don't know, how do you take a picture, Miss Evie? Can you please help me? Maybe to take a screenshot and share it in our group. Miss Evie, are you there? Miss Evie, hello?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Can you hear
Can
my
you please take
voice?
a picture? Yeah. Okay, can you please take the picture? So we are giving certificate to Mr. Phyo and Miss Haneen. Okay.
Thank you very much, Stanley. And
yeah, well, we are the one who should say thank you, because you guys are so busy. I know you have lots of work in the UK, and you still, want to.
So it's only great to to talk with teachers, especially people joining today, teachers joining today, they're active and they have got
Yeah.
many comments. These are also useful for us too. Thank you very much,
Okay.
everyone
Yeah.
joining today too.
Yeah, Miss Abby, if you have taken the picture, I will go to the next certificate. Can I do that, Miss Abby?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so
That's all.
this is a certificate for Hanin, and yeah, maybe in this occasion I would like to, what is it, to deliver our support, um, like, yeah, so we know what's going on, so we hope everything is going to be fine, and we hope the best for you and your family. I know you have been through a lot of things, and yeah, hopefully everything will be fine. Yeah. And also
Thank you
it's
very much,
important
Danny.
yeah, okay, right, okay. And lastly, as I promised, I also would like to share a link, and this link is for, hang on, for your certificate. Just let us, what is it, process it in the, maybe in the next few days. Yeah, I have here the link. Oh, whoopsie, is that the wrong link? Sorry, Bu Zaituni, can you please remove the last link, or can you do that, or can you not do that? Okay, I think it's okay. Sorry. Yeah, so please click the link by Bu Zaituni. Yeah, is it working? Just out of curiosity, is the link working, Miss Abby? Yeah, so make sure you guys click this link, because that will be our database for making your certificate. Because after this session ends, you won't be able to see this link. So everyone, please click this link. Oh yeah, link for WhatsApp, Miss Abby. Do you have that? Okay. Give me a second, yeah? Okay, let me find the link for WhatsApp. Wait a minute. Okay, I have got it. Yep, so that is the WhatsApp link. Everyone, please join. And we will share more information over there. Hopefully, for future webinars, we will be able to connect again each other for the better future of our career. All right, so yeah, I think Miss Abby, would you like to close this session for tonight and this afternoon for our speakers from the UK? Miss Abby, hello.
Well, okay, before I close today's webinar, I would like to say thank you so much for everyone who gave their your questions, and thank you so much for the speakers for your answers for every questions. And I hope what our speakers have conveyed is useful in helping us when we encounter difficulties when teaching. But before I close today's seminar, let's take a picture before closing today's seminar, right? Yeah. Please open your camera, everyone.
Yeah, don't be shy. I don't want to be the most handsome person in this room.
Okay, please open your camera. Hello?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. Take
Can you
care
make
now.
the count?
Yeah.
Let me share my.
Sorry, sir, but in my laptop,
Mhm.
there's no on camera here.
Okay, I'll take the picture. All right. Okay, everyone, smile. Please open the camera. I'll count until 3. All right.
Okay, please give
3.
your best pose, guys.
Wait a moment. I'm driving.
Okay.
Okay, another chance. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Smile. All right, thank you. I have sent the pictures in our WhatsApp group. All right, so
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
And it's Phyo.
The certificate link is in the group, yeah?
Thank you.
To scroll the message, all right? And WhatsApp chat, please also message it